Hey Leroy. Hey Leroy.
Hey, how you doing?
What's up,
What's
Hey
up,
Leroy?
Manu
baby?
Jackie.
Hey, girl.
Uh,
So give me all of you in exchange for me. Hey, Drew, give me 1 second, my guy. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Second motherfucking time. Popping shit. Think I went to school for chiropractic. Looking good in here today. Hey, what's up, Jackie?
what's going on with you?
What's up, my girl?
Everything and anything. What's going on with you?
Period. Just chilling, girl.
Put me arms right around you. Can you give me the
Hey.
tightest hold me ever get in my life? You me want to just squeeze you. Put me things all around you. Can you give me the tightest hold me ever get in my life? Me lie down
Beautiful.
there, me no care. You take it anytime
Hey Burton,
anywhere.
where's
Me no
Cam Bam?
fear. When you
It's a
fear,
phenomenal
as a
question.
woman, I will be there. Big bad tagger me can't
It's
wine
the
for me.
phenomenal for
Big
me.
bad tagger me can't take care of me. If you feel it, and if you feel it, oh me have to really squeeze it. Y'all me want to hold ya, put me arms
And
right
we're live.
around ya. Y'all you
All right.
give me the tightest hold me ever get in my life. Y'all me just want to squeeze ya, put me things all around ya. Y'all
Around you. You can make the time to sing it in my life.
My bad, Drew. Um, Evening. Another Wednesday. We are here. Uh, after Q, speak your truth. I am Burden of Proof. I want to say thank you guys for coming through
Hey,
and showing love and
isn't the
showing
other
some
one,
support to
the
the
other
show.
Burton proof? There's like
Greatly
15 people
appreciate it.
there
If you guys are watching it,
in
make
the
sure
other
you're
room.
watching and subscribe to T-Bot and catch up on all the shows that we have for you guys. Before we start, it's a lot going on within this world right now. Everybody voted, I'm sure. Hopefully everybody voted within your respective sectors or wherever you wanted to be at. California, y'all got Newsom again. I don't want to hear nothing. No complaining. Y'all voted for that man again. What Georgia? I don't think got what they wanted. I think they wanted that the young black lady. I don't think they got her. Who else? What happened? Else happened within this voting stuff? Marijuana still making a push out there. All the legalized states right now making a push, except what North Dakota and South Dakota. They still trying to figure it out. I guess whatever. This Kyrie Irving thing is still a thing, a big thing. But we're not gonna harp too much on that today. So we're just gonna relax about that real quick. We're gonna save that for another day. Today is a little bit special. As everybody knows, or some people might know, this tomorrow is the Marine Corps' birthday, November 10th. So shout out to the Marine Corps. If you know some service members that were in the Marine Corps, you might hear a happy birthday here and there, but it's not they probably not their real birthday, but the birthday in regard to the Marine Corps. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to that. So with that being said, I thought it would be cool to have a panel today with service members who signed the same oath that I did. Before we get into that, though, I just want to give a little background of what I did. I'm sure a lot of you guys know or did not know that I was served 12 years in the Marine Corps. Um, yeah, and it one of the best experiences of my life. I don't regret a thing. Left my mom's house at 17, uh, and here I was on this yellow footprints in boot camp. I was a 4421, which is a legal service specialist, more or less of like a glorified paralegal in the real world. I really didn't take my job seriously till I was stationed at the Pentagon. And I actually saw Lee Harvey Oswald's SRB. For those who don't even know who Lee Harvey Oswald is, he's the guy allegedly killed John F. Kennedy. And they had this SRB in a file cabinet, and that's when I started taking my job real seriously and really like, oh, okay, this is for real. In regards to the things that I'm doing, so all that stuff y'all see on CSI, NCIS, and all that other stuff, man, I'm telling you, it is for real. I'm telling you, and I was also part of a place called MARSOC, was a Marine Special Operations Command, and all that that high fancy technology stuff you see with the night vision goggles and the high profile flax and Kevlars. That stuff is real. I've watched Marines and Navy SEALs and different units use all that stuff. Matter of fact, they're the first people to use it, so they can verify whether or not we can get it. So I mean, just a little bit of ins and outs of the military. You know what I'm saying? Just to give you guys a little bit. But I wanted to do this for the veterans within this space tonight. We have a couple on the panel today that we're going to share some of their stories. I have G.I. Jane 2.0 here. I have the one, Miss Terica here, and my boy Leroy here as well. So we're just going to go down the line one by one. Again, I appreciate you guys coming on I don't want to say short notice, but it's hard to get y'all because, you know what I'm saying, within this space, you guys do your own thing as well. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you guys spending time with me and sharing your stories with the viewers and the audience as well. So Miss G.I. Jane, hello, ma'am, and welcome to the show.
Hello,
Let people know
hello.
who you are.
So I'm G.I. Jane 2.0. Some of you follow, and I follow you guys as well on Instagram. That's probably my most active channel. But for those of you that don't really know me, I'm an artist and I do art in all its means. Variety breeds creativity. But
Yes, ma'am.
one of the reasons I began art was to help with, you know, mental challenges that I've had throughout. That's when, especially when I got out of the military. I served in the Navy. I worked on top of the flight deck. I was those people going, hey, hey, waving on the
Awesome.
planes
So
and all of
also like Top Gun Maverick, you was that person?
that.
That's my show. Okay.
So,
okay.
I was sitting here going like this and guiding all the planes in. It was a great experience, but
Dope.
in that, as the rest of you guys that served as well know, those sacrifices come with, I don't even know the word I'm searching for right now.
Oh no, there's definitely a price for those
A
sacrifices.
variety,
Yes, ma'am.
a variety of emotions.
Facts. But we're going to get into that later. So thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you for coming. We're going to keep going
Thank
real
you.
quick just to get the introduction out of the way. The one, Terica, ma'am.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for inviting me to the show as well too. So I did serve for probably about 15 plus years in the Army, Section National Guard in the
Okay.
Army, as 42 Alpha, 75 Hotel, 42 Alpha when it changed, and also was executive administrative assistant to the General Chief of Staff and Command Sergeant Major as well too. So I was privy to all of that.
Hey,
I did
okay.
not want to know, but hey, that's another topic for another thing too. And also, I created the DMD for people over the sea, so I was in charge of all of that.
Awesome. So we got a lot to discuss in a minute. Okay, let's get it.
For those of
Awesome.
you
Well,
who didn't know,
welcome.
that's the human resources. So that
Right.
takes care in the G1 sector for all the brigades. So all the brigades, battalions, things fall underneath us. So that gets from hardships, all that great stuff, congressional awards,
Awesome.
all that promotions, emotions, all that stuff. And of course, on here, just like my comrades over here, digital creator, Instagram. I'm sure that we're all friends of each other's work as well too. So we're very appreciative of everyone
Facts.
that's on here.
Awesome. Well, welcome, ma'am. 15 years. Okay. Leroy, my guy.
Hey, what's up, man? What's up, y'all? Can
Welcome
y'all
to
hear
the
me?
show, man.
Perfect. What's up? What's up? Well, hey, man, my name's Leroy. Leroy 777. I always like to put the 777 in there because it's an important part of the name. I served a little bit over 5 years in the Marine Corps. I unfortunately had to get out, but it was a great experience. What I did in there just is personal security and Celex. So I was a field MP. It's what it is, 5811. I work with dog handlers and whatnot. But the two main things that I did on deployment was personal security,
Yeah.
up to a 3-star general, and Celex, computer and cell phone exploitation. But yeah,
Awesome. Awesome. Well, welcome to the show, man. Again, I appreciate you coming and stopping through. Um,
for sure.
so we can just get into this now. Just to clarify a couple of things. For those who might not even understand how the military thing works and things like that. I mean, you have various branches of service and things like that. I think right now 6 active. If we're talking about them, Coast Guard, Marine Corps, Navy, Army, Space Command, things of that nature. So it's a multitude of them and things like that. Don't get it twisted. They're not glorious jobs by any means. I think we make the experiences for ourselves. With that being said, just be real with you. I mean, if you look, if you look at the poverty line, I think the military is like right there on that threshold, if not below it. So don't think that for 1 minute that it's a luxurious way out of civilian life or anything like that. But there's for real sacrifices being made. When they say you get this free medical and dental, don't think that medical and dental is from some 5-star dental company or something like that. No, you're getting some cadet or some soldier or some Marine that just got graduated and now they working on your teeth. I remember people in boot camp that got wisdom teeth pulled from people that was no older than 17, 18 years old, just because they had that billet. So these are the type of things that you really have to understand in regard to the military and the type of sacrifices that have been made. I mean, not only by myself, but I'm sure by this the panel of guests that I have here. I mean, if anybody wants to elaborate on it, I mean, go right ahead.
I can't. Oh, I mean, there's a lot of, especially with your family situation, because again, we have the family readiness that we had created. I'm pretty sure each branch has that or similar to that.
Right.
So with any service member, there's a lot of family sacrifice. For
Mhm.
the I think my first 6, 7 years, I probably spent time with my intimate family, probably once,
Mm.
and that includes the family reunions, getting togethers, and things like that because my job was so high intensified. Something always needed to be done, something always needed to be taken care of. There was always something going on.
Right.
Fires needed to be put out every single time. So that was one of the biggest ones, right? And then you have to do with your personal health. You have to navigate and compartmentalize. And that takes a special skill to compartmentalize everything. Your personal, because as we know, you have to leave your ego and personal things out the door when you come and put
Mhm.
on that suit and
Yeah.
suit up, as you will. So I think that's one of the two type ones. So go ahead.
Well, I agree wholeheartedly with what you say about the family sacrifice. That by far is the most difficult. When I was in the military, we weren't allowed cell phones. We weren't allowed, I was on deployment in the middle of the ocean. We didn't know where we were. We didn't know where we were going, what we were doing, when we were coming back. And if we were sent on a mission, email was shut down, mail was shut down, and not just for a day. We're talking months. So when I would finally call my family, I would say, I have no idea where I am. I have no idea what the time frame is, in relation to where you're at. Just please accept the call. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So that was extremely difficult. My son, when I joined, and part of the reason why I joined was because of my son. He was old. And I remember coming back from deployment, I was manning the rails on my carrier, and we were pulling into port, and I see thousands of people on the pier, and I'm trying to zero in where are they at, because I knew it was hours before I'd get off the ship, by the time we dock and line up and all that. So I tried to zero in. And I remember when I finally got down, I ran up to my mother who was holding my son, and I grabbed him and I snatched him up. And in just a millisecond, I thought, "Oh my, what if he doesn't remember who I am?"
Mm.
I couldn't send pictures. I didn't really have a camera then. We're talking 20, 22 years ago. I
Right.
didn't have a camera to send him pictures. There was no video call. Luckily, he remembered me, so I didn't have that sadness.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was a whole
Kids,
different time.
kids are very, 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 very remembering. I think, I mean, especially in regards to moms and things like that. This certain thing that they just don't forget, stay attached to. So definitely, hey, I understand completely. Um, Leroy, sir.
Man, it's mostly, I agree with a lot what they're saying. I mean, it's a lot of family sacrifice, but I personally, I feel like it's not just family sacrifice for me. It's also, watching peers that maybe I've served with that are not here, or
Mm-hmm.
just having like situations. GI Jane, I've spoken to her about this. I was on a carrier also with the Navy for a little bit over 9 months, and it, we had people that like we had out that killed themselves, like let's just say like 2 months before, and it makes you think like, man, we only had 2 months to go till you guys got to see your family. But it's kind of taxing on you sometimes, man. And being on a boat feels like prison. Literally it's metal whenever you and when they shut it down, you can't go out and look at anything. There's times where you didn't really see much, or you saw things that you didn't, I don't know, things that just, or ate food that wasn't good for you, or and I don't want to focus on like only make it seem like it's a bad sacrifice. There's definitely things that I feel like are sacrifices that were good. Fitness was one of the ones for me. I'll be honest with you. The military definitely instilled fitness, and it's something that till this day I feel like it's very important. I stress, not stress over it, but I obsess over it in a good way because of the military. So that
Mhm.
is a sacrifice too.
No,
Sure.
definitely, 100%. And we're definitely going to highlight a lot of the things that are good about the military. But I want to get the, you know what I'm saying? I want to get the bullshit out the way now. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, let's be clear here. The Marine Corps was the last branch of service to desegregate. All right, they had all the African American Marines in a section, Montford Point. You can look it up yourselves. Google it. Montford Point Marines. You're going to hear a lot of things. I mean, the history books are going to tell you about Smedley Butler, Chesty Puller, and things to that nature. They're not going to tell you about Hashmark Johnson or these black African American Marines that sacrificed no differently than the others. What we just got a black 4-star general. It took what
Same here.
over 250 years. You know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying. So I don't. I'm not. Yes, it's a phenomenal institution. And if you really think about it, for those who really want to get a grasp of what the military may be like, if you picture college with a job, like basically, you know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Like it's basically that type of thing. You don't have the studying or anything like that. You have a full-time job that you have to commit to. Go ahead, G.I. Jane.
I want to make this point, and I'm not sure if you experienced the same thing as being a woman. And again, this was years and years ago, so I can't attest for what it's like now.
Right.
When I walked onto the ship, my ship had 5,000 people, roughly 4,000 men, 1,000 women. We
Mm,
were warned that when we stepped onto the ship, we would be called fresh meat. And most certainly we were, and the harassment continued. Okay. So to be stuck on a ship in the middle of nowhere, being 17, 18, 19 years old, 20 years old, not knowing who you're with, what's going on, it can be a terrifying experience. You're pulled from your family. So there's segregation, there's a lot of different aspects of the military that really need to be touched upon. And I don't
yes,
want to
ma'am.
make this, male female or make it a sad sob story because that's not what it's about. But let's be real, you know, women are a minority or were a minority, on the ship, right? And so when we are going when we're dealing with those harassments, right? And our chain of command is male, where does that leave the females?
Mm. Give me 1 second. Katniss, go ahead, babe.
All right. I don't really know the topic we're going to, but I would like to say this because I live close to Annapolis, Maryland. We got a lot of Navy pride out here. I would like to say each one of you guys, I'm assuming were in the military. I know Bird and you were. What I wanted to say before anything is thank you for your service. I know I've heard the stories before about what people said, and I know you guys are away from your families. You sacrificed for all of us to be able to come in here and have freedom of speech, express ourselves in different ways. So before you guys get into the ups and downs of it, I don't know if anybody told you, but thank you. We appreciate it. I was in Young Marines for 2 days, and I quickly learned it was not for me. So anybody who can
Thank you,
willingly
Kenneth.
sign up for
Mhm.
anything like that to protect not just themselves, their family, and our country, thank you. That's it.
Oh, no doubt. Hey,
Thank you. Thank
do
you.
y'all get do y'all get tired of people saying thank you for your service? Yeah, did
It
I
get
get to y'all?
It,
it
it can
gets
be a catch-22, right?
right.
If I don't feel they're genuine, then yeah, don't even bother saying it. And that's just being blunt and honest because I don't feel like civilians completely understand some of the circumstances and sacrifices that you go through. I feel like sometimes they just say it out of what's the word I'm looking for?
Convenience, obligation.
Thank you.
Uh,
Yes.
yeah.
Obligation. Uh-huh.
What you think,
Uh
T?
it's again, it's catch 22 because it's kind of like thank you for your service, but we're taught in the military not to accept those things, right? Not to accept free food or anything like that. So it's like, thank you, we appreciate that, but it kind of is embarrassing a little bit, right? Because sometimes where we are in civilians, that's what we want to do is be civilian undercover. Like, we don't want to
True.
be recognized as such as being into the
Mm,
service. So, but at the same token, it's nice to be appreciated for what we
right.
have done, right? Um,
Okay.
so yeah, it's a catch 22 at sometimes.
Leroy, what about you? You get bothered by it?
Nah, man. I think it's to each their own. If somebody wants to say thank you for their service, if they are saying it with a purpose or not, to me, it doesn't bother me. I personally can't expect somebody to, I can't hold something over somebody or expect somebody to feel a certain way of a situation I'm gone through or I signed up or whatever it is, and I get it, as people do say it from time to time to as something they feel like they have to say, but in the other
Yeah.
side of that, I've had people, I've had a veteran badge and I've had people ask me, what president I killed for. So I have to feel great when somebody at least goes out of their way to say, hey, thank you for your service,
Mhm.
even if they have no idea what that means. To me, when I feel weird is more if it's somebody that I know I feel like has done, people peers that I feel like have done great things and are known for great things, then I feel weird around that because it's weird to say thank you to me when I feel like I'm near people that have given up more limbs or whatever mental, I've
Mhm.
given up so much and I don't feel like I've given as much as they have, even though
Mm,
I've served with them and I'm there with
right.
them. It's it's weird to say I, feel different about you not getting to kill somebody or shoot at somebody overall. I'm just saying, for people who worry over the ribbons and things like that. So I overall, yeah, man, I don't feel weird about it because have seen people directly, who have you killed for? Or, I heard you guys, just shoot at, women and kids. And so I don't, it doesn't bother me, man. If you're respectful for it, awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you, for it. I hope there's other people that have definitely have done and have given up so much more for this. Just the fact
Uh,
that I'm here and being able to do this is great. So
Leroy, can I just make a point? I don't mean to interrupt anybody here, but
yeah, yeah.
it's a brotherhood, it's a sisterhood. It
Mhm.
doesn't matter what your job was. The fact that you still chose to make that choice to stand by your other brothers and sisters, your nation as a whole, it doesn't matter. I mean, any production takes all kinds of different levels
Yeah,
and
that's right.
people participating to make it work and make it happen. If we all had the same job, the same purpose, we wouldn't get very far. So I don't want you to feel like, one person has done more than you. You know, you made that sacrifice right alongside every other man and woman.
No,
Mm,
for sure. Yeah, and
totally
I
agree.
totally
No,
agree with you. I definitely, yeah,
Mhm.
I agree with you.
no,
It's just it's an
definitely
aspect of
agree.
just saying. That's all it is. It's more of
Mhm.
a saying thing. It's not I don't feel like I've done any less. I'm just saying I look at these people like damn, these are people who have given or lost more. Let's just say we both have put the same effort, but they got less out of it than I did. I put it that way. But I do agree with you. It is, we all have a part, from whatever job that you do to whatever, job that anybody does.
Well, too, that I know that I don't know if everyone here can get because of the civilians. They watch the movies about military, and they think because they watch the movies on that's what it is, and they know it because they watch the movies. And then when they approach us, they visualize that's how the military is. It's like a chick charge. You do what I say, da 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 type of mentality. No, that's not how it is, sir. That is not how it is.
Not
That
at
is
all.
totally not how it is. Maybe in boot camp, but once you graduate out there, that is not how it is.
Right.
That
No,
is
it's
absolutely
not.
not. Well, you get
That's
to,
right.
you can speak your mind, but as long as you be respectful and recognize that rank and that uniform, right?
That's
Pull them to the
right.
Hmm.
boundaries that you can and cannot cross, which we already know. But don't think just because you watch a movie or some history channels that you know everything there is to know about the military. And when you're speaking to a
Hmm.
serviceman, please do not speak to them as if you do, because we all can tell if you have actually served rather than just watched. Because I
Okay.
have been from coming in from transitioning from military life to civilian life. Once the civilians um, see or recognize or read, oh, you're a military person. Da, 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 this is how. I guess they want to make us comfortable, so they talk or they have these programs. So you have to be direct with them. You have to talk this way. No, you do not. It's just like any other. We are human beings, plain and simple.
Right. El Blanco, what you got, my G? You on mute?
Hey, yo, can I say
Let
something?
me come out of mute.
So, so I
Hold on,
recently
King
saw a
Slave. Give
video.
me a minute, my guy. Hold on, my G. Hold up.
You
Go
gotta
ahead, El
grab the cue,
Blanco.
brother. You gotta grab the cue, brother.
Yeah, I just stumbled across this tonight. Interesting conversation because I did the army. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Word.
yeah, I could have had a great career in the army. You know what I'm saying? But I went to a location where racism was still being practiced by the chain of command and the unit that I was in. And
Mm.
but it was turned out to be a blessing because that's when I learned law. Because I had to learn
Yes.
law to deal with them, right? So you know what I'm saying. So when I got to where I was at in Alaska, I found out that that's typically where they send everybody to who want to do their last tour to retire, right? So normally
Word.
those high end officers or high end, well, I'm gonna say high end officers, but the NCOs, high end NCOs get the opportunity to be command, to run things, become first sergeants and so forth, right? So, you know, run into situations, right? It changed my whole, it just changed my whole perception of the military. I learned a lot about the military being in a headquarters battery, in an infantry division,
Click it.
and what it did let me know that I need to really exit stage left. But I could have stayed in the military and boxed, and I could have boxed for my whole career and been special duty. You know what I mean? And just box. But I chose not to because when I ran into an issue, and they let me know that they was gonna move on me on on the racist pretense. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, okay, well look, y'all need me more than I need you guys, right? So I left the military. I actually got, let's see, I made it to E4 my third year. So I was on schedule to be, to be have a good career there. I would have been in E4 before I left that first tour. I mean E5. I probably would have made it to E5 before I left that first tour.
Uh,
Um and I chose not to. Um then I had an incident where, being that I'm hot headed. I'm a Gemini, so I'm hot headed, right? When you don't treat me with respect, according to these UMCJs, you know what I'm saying? Then I'm finna walk right through them, right? And I ended up walking into my colonel's office um the Gulf War, right? So that means we're at war. Everything is in that, everything's on go, right? So my colonel went for his gun. You know what I'm saying? He went for his gun in his office because I came unattended. I came in there pissed off about whatever I was pissed off about, and I was trying to get him to, like, look, this NCO, this platoon sergeant, everybody's ignoring what I'm trying to say. And then he put his hand on his gun and he broke down the rules to me right then and right there. He just ratted them off. And I thought about it right then and there. I thought about it. I'm like, okay, well, I tell you what, I'll be hollering at y'all, on the other side. So that's my experience. But the military is an awesome, When you say institution, you said it perfectly. It's an institution. It is a true brotherhood. It's a true sisterhood. You know what I'm saying? If I ever had any problem to this very day, I was air assault. So we say hua. When I say hua, anybody know military know that. You know what I mean? Situation changes because I still know what it was. I put my time in. I left with honorable discharge and all that good stuff. Good conduct medal, all of that. But I challenged the system. The system didn't want to work with me. The system was going to allow people who had higher rank or higher better affiliations to move forward in the manner in which they wanted to move. So I left. But other than that, hey, it was awesome. I love the military. Other than that, that's what I wanted to share.
Definitely. All good. So where
And I
did
have
the
been on those boards too. Just so you know, I have been on those boards, inside the boards, the NCO boards, and the officer boards as well too, to the generals boards. So when they do all the scheduling and the grading system as well too. So keep on going.
So where did the military take you guys? What different countries have you guys seen when you guys were serving?
I went to, we called it the sandbox. I went to Afghanistan, Dubai, Greece. We were supposed to at that time hit Italy, but we got pulled on a mission the day of. So we didn't actually end up going there. So that's that general vicinity.
Yeah, what was your favorite?
Actually, I thought Dubai was, because you have these preconceived notions based on maybe what you've seen on TV, right? And
Right,
especially like
right.
being young and vulnerable, at that point,
Facts.
I hadn't had the chance to see the world. And when I went
Right.
over to like Turkey and Greece and Afghanistan, I saw so many different cultures, different ways of life, different ways of dressing. Architecture was insane. I went
Right.
to Bahrain as well. So to see different progression in different parts of the world,
Right.
that was probably the most rewarding for me.
Awesome. I can agree. What about you, T?
I only went 30 days in Honduras. I was technically, well, I was not allowed to go because of my position and things that I did. It was better for me to stay so that I can assist the ones that overseas, because like you just said, anyone who's been overseas, it's hard to get in touch, and we have special phones, and I was always on
Right.
call to navigate those. Again, I'm in G1, so any kind of death, any kind of mishaps on the mission that needs to be handled, or whatever bad incidences, good incidences that needs to be transferred over, I needed to receive those messages. I need to handle those appropriately to the course of the
Got you.
action.
Okay. Leroy, what about you? Where did
Man,
the Corps take you?
so I like to say I've been to a good amount of parts of the world, man, and the Marine Corps definitely got me there, but asking and wanting to get into courses and wanting to, as my billet is what got me to these places. And I want to say, I also want to say this, man, because I did it all the time, right? A lot of people ask me about why I don't show my face in a lot of, well, in anything, any I don't think anybody has ever seen my actual face in this room or anywhere in Horizon. And I wanna kind of answer that, just so I don't have to kind of talk about this no more, because it has to do with the military. um I got to go to a lot of places in the world to in what I do, that has to do, like, I guess we'll say, personal security and cybersecurity. But job took me to other opportunities out here in the civilian world that has also taken me. So I would say the Marine Corps has taken me places in and out of the military. That is, it has helped me out a lot. But I still do that, some of that job. You know what I'm saying? So that's the reason why I don't show my face, because it would cost me more money to, have that out there already, saying, telling you guys that I'm military and what I'm doing, than to just put it out there. And on top of that, I just want to say, if we really believe, you should be happy that somebody like me is stubborn enough to continue pushing, because I've been doing this avatar for years. It's not just here, but for years. So you should be happy that somebody like me is stubborn enough to push this in the aspect of culture, continually finding jobs for veterans that can also do the same thing, have their secret or top secret clearance, and be able to be whatever avatar they want to be in here within a set of rules. So I do want to put that to a good amount of parts of the world, but it's also given me, and I've gotten myself opportunities outside of that that I think are priceless. Just crazy, ability to be, Italy, Kuwait,
Hmm.
Dubai, Djibouti,
Bosnia. Hmm.
Iraq, Spain, and Italy, Spain. I've been almost everywhere, man. And it's just meeting people there, and I don't know, eating the food there, and Jordan, and everywhere. I don't know. It's an
Awesome.
amazing situation.
So do you
But
do you
I
have a
think
favorite?
man, my favorite, just because I'm a foodie, Djibouti was fun, but I will say, because during the time, I was, you're in the military, all you do is really drink. Not in Djibouti, in Dubai, you can't drink out in bars. You have to go to hotels or places like that are allow you to drink. You can't go to a restaurant and drink, or a bar, or any of that. But my favorite, to be honest with you, was probably Italy, just because I love pizza, and Spain,
Hmm.
because of their seafood. But yeah, food, man.
Okay,
Yeah.
got you. Go ahead, Katniss.
I got a question, since everybody up there, veterans or served in the military. So I have a son that's in high school, and that's one of the choices we talked about after graduation. What is some advice, or like, is it a certain branch you would suggest? Your branch, another branch? What would you say if you were 18-year-old you're going knowing what you know now? Go ahead, just
Go out.
anybody. It don't really matter.
Go
Yeah.
on.
That's for everybody,
Go
even
on
you,
down the
Burden.
line. Okay, all right. So
Yeah.
here we go. Here we go. I'll answer first, and we go ahead and run it down the line. I personally would say it's a matter of preference. Everybody has a different preference in regards to what makes them tick. So me personally, I gravitated to the Marine Corps because my uncle, who literally raised me as his own, was in the Marine Corps. He served in Vietnam, and I asked him, what did he think about me joining? And his answer was, given my attitude, I'd be just fine. Now, I didn't understand what he meant at that particular time, but and then started doing things with the Marine Corps, I understood exactly what he meant. And so I would say it's a matter of preference. I chose Marine Corps because they told me it was the hardest branch to get in, and I'm stubborn as hell. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna see that then. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really want to join the Army because, in my personal opinion, it's too big. And I didn't do the Navy just because I wasn't feeling their uniforms. So the Marine
That
Corps,
is the
I think,
biggest downfall.
It
like, the
is.
Marine Corps
It
presented for
is.
me.
Oh,
They presented the biggest challenge to me. So I would say it's
that's
a
my
matter of
case.
preference. So you got to be really, 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 really mindful about what you're looking for in regards to what branch you want to join, because it's different from A to Z. So that's my spiel on it. Go ahead,
I want
G.I.
to say something about what Burden said here. Now, originally, I wanted to join the Marine Corps, but I had my son, and his father was already enlisted in the Marine Corps. So we had to do special permission and all of that. And the Navy at the time was the only one that would take me. So in that, though, the Navy does have the worst uniforms. So if you're into fashion, Navy definitely is not the way to go. But I'm gonna tell you something. That's where I gained my cape. That, that little white uniform with the cape on the back. You feel like a superhero every time you put it on. So again, though, it is about personal preference. And my
Yes.
biggest piece of advice would be educate yourself. Educate yourself about the branch. Educate yourself about what your son, in this case, what your son is looking to get out of it. Okay, because each branch specializes. I don't want to say specializes, but each branch, has different meaning to it, different purpose.
Yeah.
So speak to your son about what his ultimate goals in life are. Educate himself about, or educate about the areas in which he might be deployed to, because I was 17, 18 years old. Okay, I had just had my son, and I'm shipped off to the Middle East. I had never been there. we get onto
Mm-hmm.
the boat, we're about to go to port call, and all of a sudden we can't sit next to them in the car. We have to be completely covered up. We can't go into town by ourselves. I mean,
A
just
whole culture shock.
things
is.
that you
Mm.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
maybe even travel a bit with him to different countries before joining the military to see what he may be getting himself into.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. This does fall underneath my realm of expertise as well too, only because it's a human resources recruiting. So again, following along with the crown lines that I just spoken to there, I'm going to tell you right here, right now, recruiters do lie because they need their quota.
Absolutely.
They
Absolutely.
do lie.
Oh,
Misconceptions.
Stop. Hold on.
Misconceptions.
Hold on. Everybody, I would want to say, I would say this on the record. My recruiter, Johnny Brandon, I would say it right now on film, live, whatever. That man did not steer me wrong in nothing that he told me. I asked him specifically, I said, hey, what is this like? He said, I can give you story after story. It would not give you any sense of what you're going to go through once you step on those footprints. That man was straight up with me. That man gave me the job that I asked for. He assured my mom that I was going to do X, Y, and Z. So now the majority of them, she is 100% correct. But man, for some rare reason, this man came in my life, and he was 100% genuine in everything he did. So my bad. I got to get that out there. Go ahead.
No, correct, right. But and Mike, they do because they're quotas. Not all of them are bad. My situation as well too. I wanted to join the Air Force because I had one of my friends that I grew up with is in the Air Force, so there. But they didn't return my call, so I went to the Army. But in any case, they didn't know or realize that I come from a military background. So they did try to, steer me the wrong way, but I had my cousin on the line every step of the way. So it's good to have that. Number two is this: what do you want to maximize into your goals, your benefits? For me, I'm going to say this, or I'm going to say overall. So you can go you can get both the benefits, right? The National Guard and into the military, into the so it's a 32 and a 10, Title 10, Title 32, right? So the National Guard is in your state, whatever state that you lived in, they have a guardsman thing right there too. So those benefits you can maximize on both ends. Double dip is what it is. So you can get the benefits of the Title 10, which is your overseas, your state, and then your Title 32, which is all the way around the guardsmanship, the military, right? That doesn't make sense to you right now, but I'm pretty sure they understand what I'm talking about, so you can benefit those. So some of the things that, like your education, they may expire going on Title 32 or Title 10, but you can jump ship and utilize your Title 32 benefits as well too. And that also goes into your BHA, your BHQ, all those things. So you have to realize the kids, your dependents, education, housing. When you get out, can they support your housing? Are they going to be partying? Hey, that's my thing.
Terica. She want to know what about her 18-year-old son. She ain't in the military yet.
You have to.
He's not in it yet. Well, he's looking. We've been looking at like Naval Academy versus going straight in. I mean, he's really smart with tech. So, I mean, I think it'll be something he'll do great with. But we just talking and looking because it's college, Naval Academy, or go straight in or go get a job. But it's that age range. And the military came up, and I was shocked. I was like, oh, okay. You think that's something you can do? But just
I ain't gonna hold you. I mean, if his options are really, really open, have him take the ASVAB for every branch and see which one he favors the most. Because everybody has a list of jobs that they can afford you based on whatever branch that you sign up for. So once you take the ASVAB, and depending on his score, they'll let him know what jobs he qualifies for. Now, if it's something of interest that he has, I mean, go ahead and shoot for it. I mean, me personally, I got a high enough ASVAB score to where I can get admin or I can get legal. And I picked legal because I'm just nosy as all hell. And I just thought it was something that I would definitely, I found of interest that I thought could be of benefit once I got into the civilian sector of life. Once
Yeah.
I got out of the military.
Yes.
So that's another
Yeah.
thing. Make sure
That's
whatever he
why I
picks
say
within the military in the civilian side.
exactly.
So a good job and things to that nature. So it's
Right.
not time wasted. You know?
Right.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Well,
Exactly.
that was it.
Oh, no doubt.
Another
So,
question. Say,
oh, cool. Who was it? Who was it? Say that. Oh, so just back on the where these different countries and things like that we've been. I would have to say that I've been to Australia, I've been to Japan, Hong Kong a couple of times. Well, Guam is a hidden gem that I didn't even know about that America has. Like, it's just
Mhm.
phenomenal over there. Guam was dope. Australia was dope. Guadalcanal was dope. I was over there at a humanitarian deployment and things like that. On a C-130 with no airplane seats, and everybody's sitting on MREs trying to get over there. So I've also been to Egypt as well. And these places definitely change your perspective of life. And definitely humble you in regards to what people take advantage of here. Even just the consumption sizes of fast food is different depending on what country you go to. We get all these supersized mega meals and all these other things. Everything is all neatly portioned in Japan to these small portions because everybody literally watches their weight. You know, we're the only country I think is overindulgence like that and things like that. I mean, and it's so crazy to see how it's just in your face sometimes, and people just don't look at it and really take advantage of these little privileges that we have within this country. Um, so while you guys were in, like, were there any moments that you had with, like, you know what I'm saying, that changed your life? I mean, whether it's good, whether for the better or for the worse, or I mean, were there moments within your career that, you know what I'm saying, just really impacted you that you don't like that you hold on to today?
Absolutely. I had a ton of them, and I don't know that I'm necessarily comfortable in going into detail, but I would
Mhm.
have to say that it absolutely shaped how I think and how I feel to this very day. Not to say that you necessarily hold on to things, but it gives you a
Right.
new perspective. You know what I mean? And then when you get out, I feel like there's a lack of, maybe not a lack of resources, but I feel like they kind of just shove you out
Mm.
without making sure you're good. You know what I mean?
Yes. I would definitely agree to that. And I mean, in some ways, I won't say I won't say it's a lack of resources. I would say it's a lack of manpower supporting those resources in the way that they're supposed to be supported. Like, even with the veterans that are lacking shelters and things like that. There's a ton of homeless veterans right now. But if you look at the resources afforded to these people that they say they're supposed to help them rehabilitate, it's fucking
Let
disgusting.
let me
Like,
tell you
it's
something about that.
nasty.
Let me tell you something about that. You want to talk
Yes,
about
ma'am.
instances that shaped your future or shaped,
Mm.
where you're at today, right? So
Yes,
part
ma'am.
of, the circumstances that I went through in the military shaped some of the mental. I definitely have PTSD from the
Mm.
experiences that I went through. At one point, it left me homeless for 3 years. I was sleeping in the street 3 years, you know what I mean? And I went to the VA. I tried to get those resources, and it's always, oh, call this number, they'll call you back.
Mm.
Call this number, they'll call you back. Call this. It's always somebody else's problem. For three
Yes.
years, they didn't stand by me, and I fought for the country. You know what I mean? I'm a
Right.
disabled vet.
I agree.
Where was that?
Right. Go ahead, Terica. You have something to say?
There's been tons of situations. Some I can't talk about, and some that I can. But they're good and bad instances, and you take
Yep.
what you learn from them.
Mm.
Overall, the military is good. Again, you take what you can from it. even the bad instances can teach you a lot with those resources. And
Right.
because I've been again on the top end, and I had to look from the brigade, from the platoons down to see what resources they were not being allowed to get, and we have to figure out why wasn't the information being funneled down. What was the
Hmm.
obstacles? Because it's there, because we have the money, we have the supplies, we have the equipment. So why wasn't it funneled down? So that's when we have to get to the captains and the CEOs and things like that. Go in their heads. Wait, okay, hey. But in case, so all those. So just navigating those political areas, if you will.
Right.
Well, and not to interrupt you, but this is why I'm so excited that you're on this panel, though, and that Burden opened this up for the veterans, because this is a white space that I feel like needed to be filled. You know, veterans, a lot of us are veterans in the metaverse, and we do come in here to get that break from reality, to try to expand ourselves in different ways and all that. We find different communities, but there's not very many that offer for the veterans. And I'm
Hmm.
super excited to know that you know all of these resources, because I work with veterans and I'm definitely going to have to speak with you.
Well, let me
Awesome.
say this on the VA side, I do not know much about that because I had to learn that as well too through my other comrades. But speaking within the military, when you have lack of those equipment, like some of the battalions didn't have proper uniforms or up to code uniforms, right? I'm just giving that
Okay.
example. Or the weapons were up to date, the funding. So, but we have them. Why wasn't trickled down? Or the information, as you said, when you go overseas, you don't know what to do. You don't know, or the information was there. You just left. Yeah, the information was provided. Why wasn't it down to the soldiers, trickled down? So
Right.
that's what I had to do in that navigation area of it. One of the
Okay.
hats.
Hold on, Leroy. I'm gonna got you, my guy. Miss Fierce is behind you. Go ahead, Miss Fierce.
First off, let me just say, can y'all hear me? Can you
Yes,
hear me?
ma'am, we can.
So, to piggyback, because I came in late, burden. You didn't even tell me today was the day. So, I am a military vet as well. I have navigated through MedBoard and all that. So, for one, let me give a shout out to you all as coming up here and actually voicing your opinion, because a lot of vets do not understand. And a lot of people don't understand what we go through and what we deal with every day.
Hmm.
I do too suffer from PTSD. I work an ordinary life, and I do come and use like gaming systems as well as VR as a way to educate and get more into what I need to get comfortable. So I have been at the lawyer. I haven't been at the higher, but I have been like a battalion level. So I see what you're saying, Erica. What's it? What? How you pronounce your name? To Erica.
Terica. She
Terica, it's Terica.
Terica.
Sorry.
Terica.
Mm-hmm.
Terica. So I can always say that I always try to point veterans in the right direction. Even me and Burden have had a talk. A lot of veterans don't know how to navigate the VA system as
right.
much as they should, especially when they get
Mm-hmm.
out. And I'm gonna tell you, when you get out as a soldier, you're accustomed to one thing. I can bet on this whole panel, we all get up at a certain time. We all have a certain time that we do something. We have a set rule. Like when we are doing something, we just do a discipline. No matter what service you're in, you just have that discipline, and that's what we are. So to advocate, I'm a big advocator, especially with PTSD, because a lot of us are looked over as having PTSD, as we all have our own circumstances through certain things that we've dealt with in the military and we really don't like talking about. So I commend y'all all coming up here and voicing y'all opinion. I literally do the same thing, because Bird will tell you, when it comes to VA, I'll be like, look, I'm gonna show you how to get it, how to do it, what to do next, like what you got to go in there to do. Because if you don't, you ain't gonna get the percentage. Because I am myself 100% P&T, and I still work.
Trying to
So
catch that 100 myself right
yeah,
now.
but you see what I'm saying? But a lot of people say when P&T, you
Yeah.
still can work.
Burden, talk to me.
Yeah.
I can help you out.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. I got you.
We
I'm gonna
all
definitely
see,
need
but
that.
you see how the network is. Everybody helps each other out. So
Yeah.
I do the same thing too. Like I've always pointed people like, what have you done this, and I'm gonna get off of this. I commend
Thank you.
you, G.I.
No, thank you.
Jane, Leroy, and I'm messing up your name.
Just say
Terica.
Erica with a
Terica.
T.
Erica,
It's Erica.
Terica. Got
There you go. Mhm.
Terica.
Hey,
So
but to
Mhm.
her, but to your point, Miss Fierce, and thank you for sharing, ma'am. I appreciate you as always. But to your point, in regards to the process, a lot of military members they get out. I'm gonna be real with you guys. There's a large percentage of us that don't even know that we can do this. You know what I'm saying? A lot of phone numbers that are disconnected now, and these people can't contact us. You know what I'm saying? To let us know, hey, you can file this claim and get this percentage. Or we so secretive with what we doing now with our lives. When we see a certain number, we don't even answer the damn phone. You know what I'm saying? So, in addition to what she was saying, and even to that, people just don't want to go through the paper trail because sometimes it's a hard road. It takes about 3 to 5 years to get that 40% or to get that 70%. But
I
you
got
got to keep pushing
Retroactive.
because
Mhm.
that's your money. At the end of the day, you earn that. And all these things are that were accumulated through the military. Leroy, go ahead, my guy, because I know you had something to say.
I was gonna say, man, I do agree. It's you know, it's the best and worst years of my life, I guess I'll say. You know, what I mean, it definitely set me up really well, you know what I mean? But it's also things that I've taken in myself and grabbed. I will say this, and I've said this before, as far as my, you know, every person should have a funding, you know, a business that they have in a community they're trying to get. My community goal is veterans. And like I've said since day one, the biggest goal in here is being able to once again help transition veterans from when they're getting out to be able to transition to somebody who's doing business within the metaverse. And I can
Right.
say to them, hey, G.I. Jane, you know, I have a veteran that's coming out. I heard you're hiring, or do you have a spot, or Bird and you have, or whoever's doing business in here. That is what the purpose for me is. So I do help a lot with veterans as far as, you know, even cannabis in your state. If you, you know, the Voc Rehab, you know, teachers that, or vets to tech, vets to teachers, all of that. Like I help with all that because it is true. There's a lot of, I get the question all the time, if you guys get so much better benefits, why is there so many homeless? And I tell them, well, you know,
Mm,
mentally, there's not really people who help us transition. You know, I got out of the military as a sergeant, leading Marines, you know, teaching them, guiding them to coming out here, and basically, you know, nothing wrong with, you know, let's just say working at a Target or anything like that, but it's a different level of work. It's a different level of trust that you feel like you're not really
yes.
given. So I will
Well,
say
hold on.
that
Let's elaborate
it's
on that
yeah.
real quick, Leroy. Let's elaborate
Mhm.
on that. You got to understand this. Like, in addition to the job that we were doing, there was still things that we had to tend to, especially as Marines. Your physical fitness still had to be up to par. So, in addition to that job that we were doing, we still had to wake up 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and run miles. We still had to
Mhm.
do dead hang pull-ups. We still had to
Mhm.
assemble our whole squadron and make sure that they were taken care of and make sure their
Mhm.
barracks room was taken care of and things like that.
Mhm.
So, I mean, they give you a level of leadership as if you're running a corporate 500 company or a Fortune
Yes.
500
Mhm.
company. You
Mhm.
just don't get paid
Mhm.
for it. So
Mhm.
but that's the magnitude
Mhm.
of trust that you get within these specific branches of military. Just to highlight
Mhm.
in regards to what he's speaking on. Leroy, go ahead.
Just very quick, I want to say this. In the military, it's like having, think about like a job, like whatever job you're like, fuck, I gotta go to a 9 to 5, right? But when you get off at 5 o'clock, that fucking guy, once you get off, he can't tell you nothing else to do. He
Mhm.
can't tell you what to
Mm,
do. He can't tell you, you know, how to do it, what you're doing at your house. But in the military, there is no 9 to 5. You can get off
That's
of work
right.
and still get
we
fucked
turn
up
up
by your
even more.
superiors. You know,
Right?
it's um, but to the aspect of that, I do feel, and I unfortunately I'm gonna have to get going soon, but I will say this, man. I want to say first, if you are a veteran that, you know, and as we see, there is other veterans here. If you're a veteran, make sure you definitely are reaching out to other veterans or other people. I know sometimes we need somebody to talk to, and sometimes it's for whatever reason, it might be another veteran that we feel like has been going through the same thing. Another thing I want to say is where's she? You asked a question about your kid, your son. Um, I will say this.
Katniss,
Where she, yeah,
she's
where she,
gone. But go
where is
ahead.
she? Well, I'll say it like this. One thing I want people to remind is that the military is not going to fix your problems, and that's something that
Hmm.
you have to learn. If you join the military for school or whatever it is, it's not going to fix your problems mentally. It's not going to fix your problems money wise. It's not going to do any of that. You have to yourself take the initiative of doing it or trying. I know there's ways, there's things that they do fuck with the phone calls and things like that, but hopefully there's other people, other veterans that can help each other out. But
Now,
man,
Leroy, I
yeah.
kind of want to maybe touch on that a little bit. Do you mind if I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
You want the chair?
Sorry, I'm not trying to take over your show here, but I'm curious because, like I said, I was on an aircraft carrier and we were in the middle of nowhere, right? And our port calls depending on what mission we were doing, and sometimes they got canceled. Sometimes we go 3 months without a port call. Okay, when you come back, okay, your family and friends, I feel, in my experience, expected you to be that same person before you left. But because of the
100%.
different experiences that you've gone through, right, you realize you're not that same person. So
100%.
when you come back and you deal with spouses and friends and all these different relationships that you have, did you guys feel that it was kind of like Groundhog Day? Like the same day it was the same day, same thing for you. But when you got back from deployments, your family and friends had all moved on. They had their little inside
It's
jokes
like
and they went
prison.
here and there.
Prison.
And right. And you felt, you maybe feel isolated. Did
And
anybody
that's what
else
I don't
feel?
think a
I
lot
did.
of people really consider about the
Mm-hmm.
military. Like there's no quote unquote um rest and recovery for us when we get back to these deployments. You're literally inserted right back into
Yep.
civilian life and saying, okay, go right back. And it's impossible. It literally is impossible. So to
But
endure
what's so
that and
crazy?
to still go ahead, Leroy.
But and on top of that, I want to say the thing that frustrates me the most is when you get back, and nothing against people who are want to ask a veteran this or whatever it is or military, but it's always important. People always ask like, "Have you killed somebody?" And it's like
Oh,
you don't
yeah.
find it weird, like it not for nothing, but you don't find it weird that number one, I'm very proud of ribbons, and the ribbons they give you in the military, but you have to
Mhm.
look at them for what they're for. They're there to kind of give you something for what you've done and kind of make you forget of what you're doing out there. So, and
Right.
it's no disrespect to anybody, there is definitely people with purple hearts and stuff like that it's sad, and honorable at the same time. But that's one of the things that I hate. I hate there's friends of mine, that have killed themselves, over this and have never killed anybody,
Mhm.
but it has taken a toll on them in mentally that they are not here any longer.
All
So
right, so
it's
there
like,
you go. I was going to see if you're going to go there, but I know you got to go and you're short on time. But go ahead, elaborate on what happened if you want to.
so I'll say this, man. The biggest thing with VR, right, that I love about VR is that it can immerse us in here. And that's what started this whole thing about wanting to help veterans transition from the military out to here using VR and finding them jobs. Because I know people have PTSD that they don't want to leave their house. And if I can put a TV in a spot where this veteran can have a job, a 9 to 5, and make that money, then maybe that'll ease the life of that veteran where they don't have to worry about being homeless or they don't have to worry about having this or that. I'm not gonna say, in respect to the family, but I've had one in particular. I had a friend of mine that I spoke to him. He I was the last person to talk to him, and I remember, I spoke to him, and he told me, he's like, man, my wife cheated on me, and he was just down, man. And he told me, he's like, man, I don't know. He said something to me, and I was like, don't tell me that because I don't want. I made the joke. I was like, I don't tell me that because I don't want a 96. I don't want days off. And
Mhm.
it was a stupid joke. It was just making a joke. And the guy, he got out of the military, and 3 months later, he shot himself in the head with a shotgun. And to do that, first of all, you have to have some type of pain. You get what I'm saying? To
Mm,
be able to
Mhm.
go through with that. And
yes.
that is the biggest thing to me, is that a lot of us, we don't notice the mental aspect of, yes, we know what we signed up for, You know, I come from Colombia. Over there, they don't ask you if you want. They don't ask you if you want to be in the military. You get picked up and you get
Right.
taken to the
Yes.
infantry because that's all it is over there. Here we have the choice of being able to say, "Hey, I do want to do this," but we don't have an idea of what it is. So 17-year-old me, you expect me to understand what I'm getting into, go through it mentally, come out here, and yes, I am a great leader because of that. I can advise because of that. My job, my career, everything is because of the Marine Corps. But
Hmm.
but there's a lot of other things that I can't get back, like my friends, my peers, mentally, some things that do bother me.
Yes.
The whole fact that I don't show my face is yes, it's work, but it's also something from the military, from the work that I've done in there.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
that's just it's just things like that, man. If we can continue doing things like this, and I feel like sometimes veterans are more willing to speak about their situations, and not only do it in an aspect to where we're saying, hey, we hate this, but it's we all have our situations where it's shitty. And man,
Mm-hmm.
as long as we can talk about it, I feel like it'll definitely allow us to continue keeping people alive, and that's my biggest purpose in here, man. I feel bad
Absolutely.
that day I didn't he made a joke, and I should have said something about it. So not thanks to him, but thanks to that situation, and I have to make something great out of it. That's why the whole veteran, helping veterans, and making sure that I'm here during times like this to where we can speak within veterans. So later on, I don't have to say, man, I used to know this person. I can say, hey, GI Jane is somebody, or Tarika is somebody that I can refer veterans to, or I can refer,
Right.
if you want to talk to her, or benefits, or whatever it is. But
Mm.
man,
And
I
I
really
also,
appreciate you, brother. I'm so sorry. It's just we're having
Nah, not at
storms
all.
here.
Not at all. I want to say thank you, man, for coming through, and I
Thank you,
appreciate you, man.
Lord.
Definitely, and you already know what I got planned up. So look for that.
No,
Look
for
for that
sure, for
build. It's
sure.
coming, man. It's definitely
Hey,
coming. I thank you, man.
I want to say thank you to
Thank
all the veterans, Ding Dong, Blanco, all you guys up here, Tarika, Gia Jane, everybody that is a veteran, man. If you ever want to talk to anybody, make sure you reach out to one of us.
That's
I'm
right.
telling you, we might seem like maybe, stressed out, or whatever it is, or maybe working. We want to stay busy. That's how we are. But I promise you, if y'all reach out, nobody's gonna be a dick about it. We might joke around or whatnot,
mhm.
but when it comes down to it, we'll take care of you. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
have
No
a great
doubt.
night, man. I
For
appreciate you.
sure.
You guys are the
Thank
best.
you.
You too,
Thank
That's
you.
what
Lord.
the metaverse is about, man. The
Mm-hmm.
motherfuckers writing all that bullshit about the metaverse, they need to come here and sit over
Mm-hmm.
here, see what this
Appreciate
shit's
you,
about.
man.
But I
Enjoy
want to tag
yourself.
on to something real quickly, Bernie, because I was
Go
one of
right
the
here,
people.
Terica. After you, Blanco, I got you, my guy.
I do want to say something. I was one of the military personnel that did not want to take those benefits because I felt like I didn't deserve them. I had all my limbs. I thought I was okay. All that stuff. There are a lot of people that's out there. Please take advantage. Number one, document all of your
Mm-hmm.
instances. Right.
Yep.
Documentation is very important because all of those things go into the record, and they have to look back once you go
Yep.
through the process. Right. But do not be afraid or what have you to file for your benefits just because you don't have a missing limb or you didn't go to war or whatever the situation is, right? Please file for your benefits. You went into the military, you did what you need to do, you served, collect your benefits.
Everything is service
Yep.
related.
Everything is
Everything
That's
service
is
right.
service
related.
related.
Related. Everything is service related. Everything is service related. So please file for your benefits. Don't feel afraid or what have you. Please file for your benefits.
Mhm.
Reach out. That's
That's
all I have
right.
to say.
El Blanco, go ahead, sir.
Okay, well, she started touching on it. I was gonna come with the real though. You know what I'm saying? I speak direct, so I don't play the political games behind things. Okay, one thing you have to understand, like I'm from the South, right? So what it took for me to understand the different orders that's within the orders, right? You got the Masonic order, like I'm gonna be specific about the you have the um I don't know why I just skipped my mind. I've been drinking tonight, but it skipped my mind. But you got one of the orders, right? That really rock the game in there. They play the game, right? They make sure all their
Okay.
people, they make sure all their people get all the benefits, right? So
Right.
what I did was I found out, right? I was in Illinois, right? I'm going over here, going to the regional, trying to get my little claims in, right? Come to find out, they sabotaging my claims because I'm not one of them,
Mm.
right? Now we talking about orders
Mm.
within the order now. We brotherhood within the institution, but that's brotherhoods within the brotherhoods, right?
Yes, sir. It
So I'm
is.
wondering
It
why.
sure is.
So I'm wondering why everybody over here getting all they getting all their benefits. They getting 100% benefits or whatnot, and my stuff going 5 years before we even get to the next
Yes,
level,
sir.
right?
Mm.
So I started stepping to them, right? When I started understanding, right, I went back to my first lesson, went back in like way back in the day when they was trying to get me. And I said, okay, well, they play the game under the UMCJ. Okay, let's play the game over here with the codes over here and the veterans. Okay. So what I did was I took the power of attorney away from them because that's a secret power of attorney they maintain on you at all times. They maintain power of attorneys. So when you think you're doing something, they're submitting for you, speaking for you, and everything, and they're not putting the keywords in that's going to get a claim released to you. They're putting all the keywords in that makes it service connected. All these things, they got the game on lock in there, right? So when I started
Mhm.
finding out these things, right, I said, okay, well, look, you guys can, so you can play the game with me. You want to. You can sit here and deny all these injuries. You can deny all this stuff if you want to. I'm just gonna wait till it get to the final stage and it's a final disposition by the board. And once the board does what it does, everything you done according to the code, right? I'm gonna accept for value. I'm gonna accept because I do private law. Burden, I've been here before. I tell y'all I'm on the private side now. I'm just gonna accept what you did. I'm gonna accept for value because you're entitled no matter what. That's why you're a beneficiary. That's the whole name of the game. They're the trust administration. You're the beneficiary. It's their duty to bring relief to the trust because the trust is there for your benefit. Now we know that the VA get their money through tax dollars, right? So they get an allocation of taxes every year or whatever, however long they do it, and whatever the case may be. But what I'm getting ready to do, I'm playing a game with them. I didn't give them every opportunity to do what they need to do, and I'm gonna let them do the final, make their final disposition, and then I'm gonna turn around. I'm gonna hit them up for a claim, make them take a certain amount of those tax dollars and give it to me to put into my own fund and fund my own, and then I'm gonna begin stem cell and everything else you can think of, because I'm going that hard at
Well, at
it.
least
But you gotta,
he got a
you gotta
plan
stand
ready.
yeah, you gotta understand the game. All they do is they sit there and get all this, like you say, red tape. The veterans don't know how to make the transition. A veteran should not have to make a transition. They should already
Right.
know and have everything ready for that veteran based on how he's leaving there. They got all the records, right? So they tell me things like, well, we don't have nothing in your records to show that this is service connected. I'm like, idiot. I was in the infantry. I was in the I was in the
Right. Right.
infantry division. You know what I'm saying? We couldn't say we was hurt. If you could walk, you weren't hurt. You couldn't even make
That's
them. You
right.
couldn't
And
even
that's
make
the
that claim.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
And
mean?
I'm not gonna
It's
even
like,
hold you. If you do the numbers, you start looking statistically of how many Caucasian service members get 100% disability as to minorities, you can see a very, very, very strong distinction in the percentages and things like that. So, like he said, that's like he was talking about in regard to the institutions within the institution, 100%. Even within granting, even within granting severance, if you will. I mean, um, getting a percentage for disability, they have an institution to where no people of minorities and things like that are going to have to push harder or damn near be dead walking up in here vice
Mhm.
somebody of not what who is not of color. All he got to do is yell or she got to do is yell PTSD
Yep.
and they get 100%. I mean, and I've seen these things, you know what I'm saying? So I mean, definitely, man. So again, to his point, there's definitely institutions within these institutions that you have to watch out for. But then that's why you do your paperwork, like she said. You got to have a running order of everything. You know what I'm saying? So they can't dispute anything. You got the paper trail, you can't dispute black and white. So at the end of the day, even if it takes 5 to 6, 10 years, so what? It will come. But you gotta go through the paper trail. Miss Fierce, go ahead.
So just FYI, and to piggyback off of him, when I got out, I had an 8% because of my back, and I was doing logistic. Remind you, I couldn't do my job as a logistic, and they were already trying to put me out. So yeah, I didn't get it easily. Not saying I did because I had to fight. I had to realize I had an issue when I came out. Like she said, some of us don't think we have an issue until we are out the system. And then I was walking around having depression, like almost to a point I think when I was living in Atlanta, I almost tried to kill myself.
Mm.
So it came to a point in a head when I had to go to the doctor. And then I promise you, I went to do our claims, and then the lady literally wrote off all that because I had an ST while I was in the military too. So she literally wrote off all that, and I cried in there. So I'm like you. I advocate, and I see why you say the private sector, and that's why I say I advocate for veterans, because a lot of females, especially females and especially males, we don't say nothing. We don't say anything until it's already done and out, and then we end up being at where we at now. Either you're secluded, or you're trying to be an advocate and get what you trying to get the money that we owe, because technically I hate to say it, we're owed money. Everybody that's a veteran is owed money, because for one, you raise your hand and you fight for this country, but do you see the disrespect that we get? Because I see it every day. I hate to
Every
say
day.
it, I see it every day. You see
Every
the
day.
the fault, the ones that fake the valor, the ones that, and you can't say we all. I might joke about like Navy is this and Army Marines, but we're all sister and
Right.
brothers together. But
We all
that's
do
what I
that.
do. Yeah, we all do that, but nobody else
We all,
can jump in.
exactly.
Yeah,
That's right.
nobody else
Yeah,
jump
that
in.
point. That point.
But
That part.
like, I feel like a lot of people are misunderstood to way the system works, and I'm like, to Erica, some people don't know how to navigate the system to be able to do like what you're trying to do, and like you said,
Well-
it depends on your, and it goes both ways. It depends,
Wait.
no matter white or black. Oh yeah, sorry.
But I don't mean to interrupt you, but it is kind of piggyback to what you just said. You know, we spend all our time in the military taught to keep our mouth shut about everything. So when we come
Mind over
out, we're
matter.
not
Suck it up.
Right.
Yeah.
So when we come out, we're not conditioned to think that we should be taking care of ourselves and the benefits that are due to us to get us in the place to where we need to be.
Well, and I
Sorry, I
understand
didn't mean
that
to cut
too.
you.
No, and it's not because I have military parents too, and I get the double dose. I got the double dose of that because my mom was in the Gulf War, and it gets hurtful because I went to Iraq, and I experienced a lot of stuff. I lost friends over there. I lost a lot of people that I knew, people that got injured. I mean, and like he said, a lot of people, we get this thing, did you kill anybody? And some of our jobs didn't illustrate us out there killing people because that was not what our job was. But we still experienced that, and we still got affected by that. But like my mom, my dad, I tell you, a conversation, he was like, I don't understand how you have PTSD because you didn't fight. Like how my mom got left by herself, and she doesn't even recognize that she has an issue. And I tell her every day, like, she has to advocate for herself. But it's stuff like that. Like, you get it from both this side, you get it from the civilian side, and if you have military parents, you get it from that side. So it's a double dose of why we have issues, and sometimes why we don't say nothing, and sometimes why we get to a point where we feel like the end of the world is here. Like we don't belong here. So I tell everybody, look at when you see a veteran, respect what they have done, no matter if they only been in 1 year or 27 years. Respect the value of them raising their hand and fighting for your country, because at the end of the day, if they call to war, half of these people are not going to go. They're going to fight. Like, they're going to fight. I'm just saying it. They're going to be like, you can play Call of Duty all day and talk mess, but you have not seen the reality.
It's not
war.
the reality. Those
Reality
video
of
games are
wars.
not the reality.
Right. The
It's not
reality
how
of
it's
the
done.
war. Trust me, I play Call of Duty. I'll be like, y'all just don't understand. The stack on squad means for real. Stack on your teammates, because I'm telling you, go down range, it's either me or you, and it's gonna be me coming at the end of the day. And I'm
That's
done.
right.
I'm going to my corner.
Okay, so hold on, guys. So I know Drew gonna be yelling, "Wrap it up" in a minute. So let me try to. I'm gonna try to work this thing out like this. First, I want to say thank you guys for coming. G.I. Jane, Terica,
Thanks for having us, Leroy.
Blanco, Miss Fierce. Thank you guys for coming. I'm gonna say thank you guys for your service because I appreciate it. I really can't stand when people tell me that because me personally, I think everybody plays a part in this world and making it go. I don't think anybody's role is any greater than the other. I think I know I know some mentors that never been into the Marine Corps. I know some teachers that never been in the service that are phenomenal at what they do. I know some lawyers, I know some firemen. So everybody plays a role. So I don't think mine is any greater. But to you guys who know the sacrifice and what we do in the ins and outs, I want to say thank you guys, and I appreciate your service and things like that. In closing, um, like they said, the service isn't all all bad and anything like that. It's definitely what you make it. And I was able to get a bachelor's degree and a master's degree out of it. I became a stronger leader for my community. I became a stronger father for my son. I became a better understander for relationships that are I'm going to encounter in the future and things to that nature. And I learned a lot. You know what I'm saying? So I don't take away or regret anything. I will say that I miss the structure of the Marine Corps and the ability to hold people accountable for their fuck ups. Because in this day and age, everybody around here is loose as hell and ain't no accountability. But I mean, that's a whole nother story. But I guess we get into that later. But again, I want to say thank you guys for coming. Thank you guys for sharing your stories. I appreciate all the support. Let's get any of a son up in here so he can tell us where we messed up.
Nah, you guys did an amazing job. We thank you so much for the story that you gave. We thank you so much for your service. Everybody have a great day and a great night. And of course, be kind and be safe in those metal streets. Peace out.
Happy Veterans Day to all them vets. It's coming up.
Happy Veterans
Enjoy the day.
Day.
Yes,
Later.
sir.
Yes, later.